Bom dia. Bom dia. Sejam todos muito bem-vindos, muito bem-vindas. Prazer estar aqui com vocês. Obrigado pela presença de todo mundo. Sei que a gente sempre tem uma agenda bastante intensa nas nossas organizações, ainda mais no fim de ano, né? Isso sempre é um desafio bastante grande para a gente estar aqui. Então, a gente agradece muito por cada um que está aqui. Eu sou o Carlos Silva, sou um dos sócios da G3. Vocês vão ter a oportunidade de conhecer os nossos sócios também, junto aqui com a Beatriz Brito, que também é uma das sócias daqui da G3. A gente vai conversar um pouquinho com vocês. Antes de mais nada, eu acho que é super importante a gente falar que é um prazer imenso estar aqui. Hoje é um dia muito especial para a gente. Estamos trazendo uma plataforma, que é a Compport, para o Brasil, né? Uma plataforma que já está presente em 35 países, já são mais de 250 empresas, grandes corporações que utilizam esse instrumento. E a gente, então, formando uma parceria com a G3, trazendo para o Brasil a Compport. A G3 é uma consultoria nova que traz uma experiência já de muito tempo, né? Formada aí, né, junto com o Rogério Pedace, com o Ciro Magalhães, com o Rolando Pelícia e com a gente aqui, né? Então, muito provavelmente vocês já conheciam, né, a Compenson, a Human Capital, né, enfim, as consultorias que formaram a G3, onde a gente tem ali um propósito muito grande de trazer soluções integradas para os nossos clientes, né? O nosso grande objetivo é que a gente tenha ali uma condição de entregar várias vertentes em gestão, né, em gente e em governança para os nossos clientes. E aí, muito alinhado com o nosso propósito, tem a ver essa parceria com a Compport também. Então, não só as soluções que nós já temos na G3, a gente também busca parcerias que possam facilitar a vida dos nossos clientes, que possam trazer robustez, agilidade nas decisões e, principalmente, liberar o tempo para que a gente consiga realmente impactar os resultados de negócio. Espera aí, a tela aqui fechou. Eu tenho minha cola aqui também, só para eu lembrar de falar tudo para a gente. A gente vai ter uma agenda super interessante hoje, né? Daqui a pouquinho a gente começa a falar sobre a Compport, né? Vai ter uma apresentação sobre isso. A gente vai ter uma conversa super interessante com o John Radford, diretamente dos Estados Unidos. Quem precisar de tradução simultânea, a gente tem os aparelhos disponíveis ali também. Quem precisar, fica super à vontade para pegar. A apresentação do Sachin e do Pratik também será em inglês. Então, quem desejar, a gente tem à disposição ali para tradução simultânea. Então, seguindo, depois a gente vai ter um painel aqui, né, com grandes referências do mercado brasileiro em remuneração, onde a gente vai ter uma discussão super interessante em relação a temas atuais, a equidade, a transparência, enfim. Então, espero que vocês aproveitem bastante. Então, acho que para a gente conhecer só um pouquinho aqui das soluções da G3, vocês conhecerem um pouquinho mais, a Bia vai conversar com a gente aqui rapidinho para a gente conhecer um pouquinho mais dessa consultoria que não tem nenhum ano ainda, que é a G3, mas que traz uma bagagem de bastante tempo.
Somos jovens.
Somos jovens.
Bom dia a todos. Entrar em dezembro com quase 50 pessoas aqui nessa sala, no primeiro ano da G3, é um motivo de muita alegria, muita realização e muita conquista. Em especial porque muitos de nós tivemos a maravilhosa surpresa de reencontrar pessoas de 10, 20, 30 e por aí vai. Menos. O Rogério pediu para não ir para o 40, que ia pegar mal. Mas é isso, é uma delícia reencontrar colegas, pessoas que a gente trabalhou junto, conhecer pessoas novas. Eu acho que esse é um momento muito importante de celebração para nós da G3, em parceria com a Compport no Brasil. Então, é um final de ano com chave de ouro. Tá? Bom, eu sou a Beatriz, a Bia, como muitos me chamam já há muito tempo, e eu vou mostrar um pouco para vocês quem somos nós, né? Nós somos um grupo de profissionais seniors, que já estão aí no mercado há muitos anos, que se conhece há bastante tempo e que fez um longo processo de construção da G3, né? A gente foi descobrindo o que nos unia, e isso é uma alavanca muito potente para levar essa empresa até o mercado brasileiro e internacional, né? Então, a gente é uma consultoria estratégica, o próprio nome já diz, nosso foco é gente, gestão e governança. E a gente quer o quê? A gente chegou no momento da carreira que a gente quer fazer coisas que realmente gerem valor para os nossos clientes, em que a gente se dedique, em que a gente tem uma relação de parceria, em que a gente vai para dentro da empresa e entende as dores da empresa e constrói a partir disso junto com os nossos clientes, em que a gente possa oferecer aí um conjunto de soluções, né, que vai fazer o quê? Gerar resultado, aprimorar os negócios e inspirar a liderança, que é a nossa paixão, né? Desenvolver pessoas é também a paixão da G3. Bom, aqui, assim, vocês conhecem tudo isso, vai? Todo mundo aqui está em RH já há muito tempo, sabe que esses sócios têm uma expertise de longuíssima data. Posso até dizer assim com orgulho que muitos dos meus sócios são o top do mercado mesmo, em desenho organizacional, remuneração, estamos aqui com os Master Blasters. Eu trago essa prática da governança familiar e corporativa, né, uma especialização em empresas familiares. Fortalecimento de cultura, temos o Rolando, que infelizmente está num cliente hoje, não pôde estar com a gente. Gestão de desempenho, metas, um Ciro, né? Sucessão e desenvolvimento das próximas gerações de empresas, tanto familiares como também não familiares, no pipeline de liderança, enfim, pessoas, equipe, tudo isso através de metodologia. A gente se embasa em conceito, em referência, em metodologia, estrutura para levar o melhor para vocês. Essa é a nossa mandala. A gente construiu a várias mãos. A gente quer impulsionar a transformação e a gente quer alavancar com o que tem de melhor dentro das organizações, ajudar vocês a revelarem para vocês mesmos aquilo que, às vezes, passa batido, porque a gente está com o olhar de dentro, e usar isso como uma alavanca para gerar resultados. Nosso jeito de trabalhar é sempre a partir do indivíduo, né? A gente olha o indivíduo, a gente trabalha as equipes, a empresa familiar, gerando aí um maior valor para a sociedade. Nós somos seniors jovens. O que isso quer dizer, né? Nós somos, sim, profissionais já com bastante estrada, mas eu diria que são profissionais bastante antenados, que estão aí procurando sempre estar perto dos mais jovens, aprender com os mais jovens, trazer uma tecnologia de fora. Então, a gente fala que somos seniors, mas somos jovens. A gente quer que os nossos clientes voem sozinhos. A gente não quer ficar lá para sempre. É a realização que a gente sente dentro, quando a gente vê que o cliente decolou. Conexão entre o que eu falei, metodologia, e um olhar humanista, né? A gente não trabalha só com o que está acima da linha da água, a gente trabalha com aquilo que é a subjetividade combinada com a objetividade, né? Não adianta fazer remuneração se a gente não olha para um contexto maior, certo? E uma visão holística. Bom, e por que a gente está aqui hoje? Quer falar?
Posso falar. É justamente isso, né? Acho que, como a gente comentou, tem muito a ver com o nosso propósito, né? De oferecer autonomia para os clientes, oferecer soluções, facilitar a vida, né? Então, essas questões todas embasam a gente nessa busca constante de metodologias. A gente não quer simplesmente ficar engessado numa ou outra forma de fazer, mas a gente quer aplicar aquilo que seja melhor, que seja mais adequado para os nossos clientes, né? Então, é justamente por isso que a gente está aqui hoje, né? Justamente para introduzir e trazer aqui a Compport para o Brasil, tá bom? E
honrando o
apresentar para
nosso
vocês,
propósito, né?
honrando o nosso propósito, né? E em poucos meses aí, menos de um ano de G3, a gente já consegue trazer algo que é bastante robusto. Vocês vão ter oportunidade de ver isso aqui na prática, então, tá bom? Então, para a gente dar continuidade aqui, eu queria convidar, então, o Sachin Bajaj, que é o CEO, fundador, idealizador da Compport, de toda essa plataforma, para que ele venha aqui e apresente para a gente, então, todo essa plataforma e como isso pode fazer a grande diferença no dia a dia. Sachin, muito bem-vindo.
Thank you very much, everybody. Welcome to the event. I'm so pleased to see so many people in Comp and Ben coming together to attend this event. Thank you to Carlos, thank you to G3 for inviting us here and having a collaboration. I've been here for 5 days since Sunday. It almost looks like I am actually at home. It feels so much similarity. You know, that's the first thing which I actually liked so much about Brazil. That I come from India, by the way, and there are a few similarities which I can immediately notice. The first one, I think people like to fix things no matter what. You know, that's a great similarity between Indians and Brazilians. That's a great fit altogether. The second thing which I like about food, I think your food is fantastic. I've enjoyed so many things, especially in this hotel as well. If you haven't been, you should go to the top restaurant. It's amazing. Fantastic food. Little more expensive though, but it's okay, I think. Once in a while you can try. Other thing which I like is, your brands. I've been shopping a lot, by the way. And I didn't know that Brazil can have so many brands which are locally grown. And they're fantastic clothing brands, fantastic, technology brands and so on. I love that part. I'm a shopaholic, by the way. I shop a lot. Sometimes, my cupboards are overflowing with things which I don't need them as well. The other similarity which I found between Indians and Brazilian, we like to come little late all the time, 15 minutes late, and it's okay. It's normal for us, no problem at all. That's absolutely great similarity between Indians. But I think most important part, I think between Brazil, the culture here, and the Southeast Asian culture, one of the most common thing is about the passion, about the excitement, about doing things, living life. I think that's what vibrant, living life. I would love to attend the festival in Rio. I'm not sure when Carlos is going to invite me next, but I would love to come and attend that Rio festival, which I have only seen in pictures and movies. But Carnival, yes, Carnival you call it. But it's again similar to so much, vibrancy and colors which we have in our own country as well. We have some festivals like Diwali and Holi. Holi is a festival where you actually play with colors and throw colors on each other. So it's so much similarity. I love so many of these things. I think that brings to the point that why we are here. So you must be wondering that we are all the way working in Southeast Asia. We have launched ourselves in US as well last year. And US makes great sense for everybody. It's a great market for softwares, right? But why in Brazil? I think all the things which I've spoken about, that really, really excited me. And I thought, why not, let's do that. But the event has to happen. That how do we go and enter into Brazil? And that's where we met Carlos in the WAW event, the World at Work event last year. And the conversation started. It was so quick, 2-3 months. We just, tied up our partnership and we said, why not? Without Carlos, without G3, I don't think that, I had a courage to come here and launch a software for that matter. So let's talk about Compport as well. Before I talk about this, I think the origination of the brand itself happened because I myself was one of you. I was actually a comp and ben professional for 18 years. I worked in telecom and pharmaceuticals and so on in different parts of the world, Southeast Asia, Middle East, Africa, and so on. And I thought that the pain which we go through every year, the merit cycle pain and the bonus planning pain and the, even after doing everything else, still listening to the pain of people that they are still not happy after getting so much of increase. All those things actually brought me to a point where I wanted to do something about it. And that's when I decided in 2018 that why not actually think about it. The idea was probably in the back of my mind for a long time, but I thought, let's pursue this idea. And then another personal event happened which led me to launch Compport. So 2018, when we launched, we started building the software. We got great success in Southeast Asia in the beginning as well. Large enterprises, mid-segment enterprises, they came on Compport and then they started enjoying the part of the software, the part of help which it was providing for them to transfer their processes onto the platform. Then COVID hit us badly. As you know that everybody frozen their compensation budgets and so on, and hence you can't do anything. But we sustained, and then in 2022, when we started coming back into the business, I think it went off very well. So we are, if we can have slides, probably I can just give you a quick introduction. But besides the slide, which is more for my people to give me the slides to read about, I would like to say probably a few words about Compport. What is Compport? I think it's not a software as such. I think we call it a software to the clients and to the customers who would like to probably take it on board. But I think we want to be a collaborator via technology to help organizations transform. And not only transform their current Excel processes, but I need to... Oh, slides. Okay, all right. Again, slides. Sorry for that. I know it's very boring to have so many slides in the morning, but I will probably try to use them, but I will talk more. So we are a software, but we want to be a collaborator with organizations who like to work with us, and we want to help them to transform their processes from Excel or probably have some challenges in their programs, whether it's a bonus or merit or LTI or anything else. And how do we do that? I think there are few traits of Compport which are very unique in nature. The first one is software itself is built with huge amount of flexibility. So we don't call ourselves an industry-focused software, or we don't call ourselves a geography-specific software. The reason for that is that we have built the code in a way that it's extremely flexible to fit to any organization size in any geography, because it works as a PaaS. PaaS is platform as a service. So rather than software as a service, we call ourselves platform as a service. And reason for that is that everything you do in your company, we'd like to replicate that first to our platform as is 100%. We don't want to leave any chance so that you don't leave your legacy behind. You can have your legacy. But on the contrary, when you transfer your legacy onto the platform, our comp and ben professional team members who are the implementation partner, they all come from comp and ben background. 7 years, 10 years, they worked like all of you in the corporate environment, and they know about the subject very well. So when they work with you, what they will bring on the table is the huge amount of market practice. And that market practice is extremely important, not only looking at what happens in Brazil within this fraternity of comp and ben professional, within this group of companies, but also to know what happens in US, what happens in Southeast Asia. Is there a scheme, is there a program which can help you manage your challenge which you are facing in your company? That's what we do very well. So sales is a point when we actually sell the software, but beyond sales, we build relationship for a long term. Via doing that market practice sharing, via helping you to transform your processes and so on, right? The third thing which is very unique about that, we like to work with partners. And I think, again, we felt ourselves very lucky that we met Carlos and G3 team so instantly. And the collaboration for the last 3 months, we've been talking a lot in terms of understanding. I think they love the software, we love the energy, we love the need, and the challenges which you guys are facing, they are similar to what our software can handle. And hence we thought that why not actually do that? So there's a great fit which is already existing, and we know for sure, and we'll start articulating that to the market soon enough, and you will realize that. As an introduction, we are 250 customers strong. Our 30% customers are very, very large enterprise, 40,000 plus, headcount organization. We have a mid segment, another 30%, and so on. And then we have another 40%, which is the small startups. I think minimum size of a company would be about 1,000, and the largest size would be something around 65,000 people globally. And we work with a lot of global organizations, so that practice sharing, which comes naturally to us in terms of understanding and giving it. We are present in 35 countries. It does not mean we have offices in 35 countries. It means that we have clients who have people in 35 countries. As far as our presence is concerned, we are Singapore-based headquarter. We have all the development center back in India. We have people in Indonesia, US, Middle East, Turkey, and so on. 5-6 countries we have some presence. And we would love to work with, again, G3 to build our team here, which can support you in terms of implementation, in terms of collaboration. More so because of the language. I think language is one of the things which you would like to probably see. So the software definitely handles the language, but when it comes to interaction, we would love to probably rely on G3 capabilities and their team members to collaborate with you and enable the software in your company as well. The next slide is from here. All right. This is just a glimpse of what we cover. So without reading it, I can tell you that what we don't cover in compensation benefit. So we don't have surveys. We don't have data. We do not provide data from our side. And the reason for that is not because we can't provide you. We have 250 companies and they have huge amount of data. 1 million user data we already have, and we are growing very fast as well. But reason why we don't provide data is because we think that your data is your own data. It's not our data. So there are softwares worldwide, you will find that they will tell you that, we can provide you data and the software for that as well. But we think that it's unethical for us to utilize your data and float it around other companies and, get a benefit of that, out of that. And hence, we keep your data exclusively in our server, in an exclusive place where nobody can touch it, including myself. So there'll be only 1 or 2 people who look after this server admin. So our software is on cloud, and cloud has to be managed by the admin, and hence those admin can actually look at that particular data, but they don't look at the data, they look at the system as such overall. Even if they have to access it, they have to come back to you, take an encryption key, open the database, then only they can do that. Otherwise, your data is absolutely secure. And we'll share some more details about how we do the audits and compliances around the software. Because I believe that HR and Comp and Ben is the first interaction which you do in organization. But when you want to deploy a software, your IT teams will be on your back. And they'll be asking that, you are trying to look at this software. Can you please tell me how secure it is? How secure my data is? How much the IT security runs around the software? So they will share that. The other part of the software is the incentive planning management. We do that very well. We don't only handle the sales incentive, but we also handle the operational incentive. So companies who are into manufacturing, for example, on the floor, you have a lot of these operational incentive about the efficiency, about doing things, about delivering some outcomes and so on. We handle those incentives as well, very well. And these incentive modules are, again, starting from the design. So you can design your schemes. You can run it via the various stakeholders, via the customized workflow. And then you can actually give it to the employees to see that what kind of incentive they are earning on a daily basis, weekly basis, and monthly basis. So it's a full-fledged solution which enables all these stakeholders within the organization to make sure that we have a full utilization and the impact as well, of course. Right? Communication is one thing which we always felt in most of the companies we deal with. Communication of reward is probably, is there. Everybody wants to do that, but they don't know how to do it. Right? Because it's complex. There are so many elements of the comp. So the TRS, which is part of the comp module itself, is something which we are also very proud of. It's a very comprehensive solution which enables almost everything which company pays or give to employee, including the non-cash benefits. You can reflect it on one single screen. My colleague Pratik will show you some glimpses of the software as well after this, and you will come to know what I'm talking about. I think I have already spoken about some part of it, but let's probably go through this slide, in a more structured way, as my team has given me. So spreadsheet chaos is something which everybody is familiar with. I myself has dealt with them. I think that's what is a good replacement of this. We call the spreadsheet is a 20th century tool, and we call ourselves as a 22nd century tool, not 21st, 22nd century tool. So there's a whole bridge which we cover instantly when you move away from spreadsheet. Now, many people also say, many clients, users also say that you can't do certain things which happens in Excel, but it's other way around as well. You can't do many things which software can do, which is about the data, which is about removing the errors, which is about the efficiency of workflow, which is about the empowerment and engagement of your managers, right? In spreadsheet, you want to cut 100 sheets, and you have to send it via email, versus you press one button on a software and this spreadsheet is spread all over the world to 100 managers. That's the difference between, just the example of a difference between software versus Excel file. So we are going to kill that for sure very soon. The empowerment I've already touched upon. We have clients who were only 35,000 headcount strong client, who were using only leadership layer to review the compensation of 35,000 people. Imagine the stress which leaders would have in doing that, right? And imagine the kind of work which you will be doing. You will be only doing superficial work in doing that. But same organization, 3 years down the line, now using more than 300 managers worldwide to review the compensation, bonuses, and LTI for the same population. Why? Because they have a software. So that's a transition which happens over a period of 1 to 2 years. I will never say that we deploy Compport and next day onward, you will be the most advanced compensation company in the world and in the region and so on. It doesn't happen that way. It will happen slowly and gradually, but it will give you a way, it will give you a path, and it depends on all your efforts and energy and plans, budgets, how soon you want to transition there. Staying competitive, I think pay equity is again one of the parameters which is probably growing a lot. It happened in US first, it happened in Europe. You must have heard, most of you or many of you are probably from the global organization, you know that what's happening in Europe. The new EU directive actually tells companies that you cannot hide the compensation of people from them, and you cannot hide the compensation placement in the compa ratio range as well from the employee, including the candidates you are going to offer as well, right? Same thing happened in California first, and California law is now getting replicated in the US. Now, all of us know that the global practices always originated from the US and European markets, and then they always spread across. So if I can tell you that India kind of organization, which is actually far away from this part of the world, we already have a data privacy and this transparency laws coming in instantly. In the last 6 months, there's so much of work happening from the government. They're imposing some laws instantly. And hence, companies would not be able to hide that. And one of my old managers said that if comp and ben professionals are doing their job right, they're already having that pay equity in the back of their mind. They're always working on that. Because they don't have a bias. Managers can have a bias, but HR, comp and ben professionals don't have a bias towards people. They want to give the right money to the right person in the right proportion. That's the basic principle of comp and ben anyway. Now you got a tool which can help you to do that much more faster and all through the year. So we have great pay equity analysis, dashboards and so on, where system will give you alerts that when you are creating certain problems in your compensation data, if you have a large corporation of 5,000, 10,000, 20,000 people, you don't have to actually rack your brain of understanding that, oh, I need to sit and spend about a week, collect the data, clean it up, do this on Excel and so on. System will provide you that particular analysis instantly. And that's so thorough that you can go much deeper than what you can imagine. You can go all the filters, you can apply all the filters and everything else which you want to, probably you could have imagined and wished basically that I could do. Everything is available on the system, and we are readily available on that platform. So it's more probably focused on you and US laws, but the basic principle of pay equity is already embedded into this analysis, and that's what we are going to offer, the software. I've already covered the pay equity part. I think overall, what as an impact we create via Compport. The first one is, of course, enabling the smart cost management. So you must have heard this phrase, which we call you put the right amount of dollar into the right pocket to the right person, right? That's again the principle of comp and ben. And system does that very intelligently. And why does it do that? Because when we actually started the journey about 5 years back, we did not stop evolving the solution in the last 5 years. And we will not stop, actually. We will collect continuously market practices from Southeast Asia, from Middle East, from US, from Brazil, from Argentina, and so on. And we continue to build features and functionality which suit the local needs of the markets, and hence they are readily available to you. In the rule designs, which again my colleague will share very soon with you, you will see that it's a very simple questionnaire which you continue answering, and your merit cycle is ready to launch in like 10 minutes. So that's the kind of second one, which is about the efficiency. I feel that, and I worked in comp and ben myself, I feel that if I had a chance of a solution like this or anything else for that matter, I would have spent my time in thinking strategically that what else I can do in comp and ben to make an impact on the top line of my business, make an impact on the bottom line of my business, make an impact on the retention of the talent and so on, and attraction of the talent. But comp and ben professionals are so much soaked into the administrative activities around this that they don't end up having time to think strategically. And that's what exactly solution will do, that will bring you 80, 90, probably more percentage of efficiency into your processes so that you have free time. And the first thing you should do is go on a holiday in free time, not think strategically. But when you're on a holiday, you will also have a free mind to think strategically. And that's what I believe that solutions are going to do for you in long term. I've already touched upon the fair and equitable pay and building an empowered culture. I'm not sure what's the culture here. I'm still learning about it. I'm very new. But in US, in Europe, in Southeast Asia as well, I think organizations have moved to that stage where HR and comp and ben does not want to take lead in doing things on their own. They want to create a guidance. They want to create a knowledge. They want to create a data. And then they want to pass on the process to the managers and leaders to handle it. Because ultimately, once they take the decision, they will have those flexibility in terms of managing the overall budget and still enable certain talents which require probably more extraordinary compensation revision. That's what doesn't happen when comp and ben people do. There's no possibility that two people sitting in a 10,000 strong company can understand every individual need in the company, what kind of contribution they are making to the company. It's not possible at all. And hence, cascading of the process is actually moving so fast that we have organizations where the first line manager is participating in those processes and they are doing very well. They believe that it's a matter of just trigger. We always feel that what will happen if they create biases and so on. But unless you don't actually teach them, guide them, mature them, you will never be able to reach to a stage where the maturity is existing. And hence, we have to kick off somewhere. So once you kick off, you will find some challenges, you will face those challenges and pass through and finish them off. That's what system is going to do for you as well. It will allow you to do that cascading very, very effectively and within the limitations. So in the beginning, your leaders will say, oh no, I want to manage this bias part. System actually allows you to manage the bias. System will give you immediate alert as a manager that when you're doing a bias between the members of a similar cadre, similar grade, similar function, similar performance rating. So those things will automatically happen by the system. And we are here also to enable more features, functionalities, if you would like to actually add. So as we said, we are here not to actually give you a software. We are here to learn about what are the market practices you follow in Brazil and build the solution to suit that need as well immediately. I think most of these I have already mentioned about, and you will see again in the quick demo. Just a reflection of some of the clients' type and size. again, we are not, narrow down ourselves into industry focus or a geography focus. So some of the clients which you see are global, some of the clients are international. Some of them are very complex. Some of them actually handle the global complexity in a centralized way. So they don't spread this particular thing to everybody, but they handle it in a central way as well. So we have both the sides of the pyramid as well. Just about partnership, you will quickly see John Radford in few minutes. We will have, I think he's only online and he's waiting for us to join. We'll ask some questions to him immediately, but you can also ask some questions as well, and we'll leave the floor open. But besides that, we have partnership with Mercer, PwC, Darwinbox, and HRIS from the Southeast Asia, and these partnerships are growing. G3 is another recent addition to this partnership as well. Now, this partnership allows you two things. One, in near future, we will also have collaboration with the market survey providers where if you're taking a solution, you do not need to participate in the survey manually. System will provide the data integration back and forth, and you will be able to access the Mercer data, for example, online straight away. You can search for a job and you will get the benchmark for that. Also, when it comes to submission of your data back to Mercer, you don't have to do that because you would have already mapped your employee's job profile to the Mercer job profile. Automatically, system will feed back to Mercer so that they also have updated data. And hence, you will be able to get the market data intelligence immediately and instantly and all through the year as well. So there's some of the big changes which are going to happen in near future. We don't know the timeline as set. We are still discussing and collaborating with them and trying to find out the way forward. And we'll share with that. I have already spoken about the compliances. I don't need to talk about each certification, but you can leave that trust with us that everything which you do on Compport will be absolutely exclusive to you and will remain as compliant as per the local laws, as per the international laws, and nothing is going to happen. But I think it's not your subject. It will come when you are trying to take the software on board, and your IT team will actually ask to connect with us, and we'll be able to help them to give all those details as well. That brings me to the end of the presentation. Any questions I can answer instantly before we jump to John's?
We have two questions in the WhatsApp group. One is about SAP, SuccessFactors, Oracle, and other platforms. The question is, what are the similarities and the differentials that you have between solutions like SAP and others? And some about the trend. Let me see. About the trends in the market, if there are some of the trends and information about the market, like for instance, how much of the payroll is dedicated to merit and promotions, all this type of survey information, if there is in the platform. So these are the two first questions about the integration and similarities with platforms, and some info about market. And we have other, but I'll do it later.
Thank you, Carlos. I think we have everything which is available in SAP, Workday, and Oracle. We already have it. But a lot of things which are available in Compport, SAP, Oracle, and Workday doesn't have it. So these are the similarity and not so similar as well. That's the first thing. But I can tell you, if I have to put an analogy, Workday, SAP, Oracle, or some other solutions are similar to elephants. They are so big and so giant organizations that to move them according to your choice, according to your needs, is next to impossible. They won't do that. On the other hand, we are like a horse, right? We can run faster, we can do changes, we can maneuver in different paths if you want, and hence that's a key differentiation which we bring on the table as well. In terms of the overall perspective, I would also say that the SAP, Oracle, I actually worked on all of them, to be very frank. I launched Workday in my last organization, Takeda. I worked on Oracle. I launched SAP in a telecom company in Middle East as well. So I know all these similarities which are there. But I can tell you that it actually starts and generates from the need of an organization. If your organization has already decided that I want to have one single solution and there is no possibility of having any other solution, you won't be able to do anything at all. However, if comp and ben professionals in that organization actually put their foot down and they say, I do not want to run my comp and ben as an operational activity. I want to strategize it. I want to make it more scientific. I want to utilize my deep analysis to do the planning bit for that or budgeting bit for that. Then I need a solution. And then they push the IT or any other stakeholder in the company. Then you need to look forward to a solution like Compport. And I will also say that Compport is not the only solution which is available in the global market. There are many of them. And hence, it's obvious it will happen in your organization as well. Your procurement will ask you that, we need 3 solutions which you want to finalize, and then we'll evaluate and so on. You should do that and you must do that. We are not here to impose Compport on your organization. We are here to tell you what are the differentiation, and you should evaluate what best fit in your organization. And then only take the very, very, what you call, thought through call of taking that solution on board. Because remember that change which you will bring via launching the solution will be very, very deep. And you have to sustain with the change for at least 3 to 5 years. You cannot switch a solution in 1 year and then next year you say, I want to go for another solution and then another solution. It will be very difficult. Because with solution, there's a lot of efforts come in terms of bringing change, talking to leaders, talking to managers, talking to employees, that this is what we are doing. And the second question was about
the first question was made by Claudio Costa, so thank you, Claudio, for making the question. The next one was made by Cisa. It's about integration with Workday too, and if the platform works for sales compensation for the sales team too.
Answer is yes. We not only integrate with Workday, both inward and outbound integration, but every single platform on the planet we do integrate. We have an integration partner which has more than 200 softwares on their API suite, and we can instantly bring the data and also send back the final data which you actually process on Compport. You can send it back to the HRS as well, and you will be having a quick view of that. And there was a question before that as well, which was about the best practices. For example, how much should be the payroll cost of the organization as a revenue and so on. We will not bring you those kind of knowledge and the best practices or probably the data points or as a formal request. But what we can do is informally, if you ask me, not only this, but formally, if you ask me, what is the compensation and an average or median compensation in Rio for a salesperson? And if I have information and understanding and knowledge about it, I will share with you without disclosing the client or without disclosing where we got the data, right? The data is available in an anonymous way where we can actually see what's the trend which is going on. We also have access to Mercer data. We have access to the Aon data as well. So those data points we have where we can share the knowledge and some of the other trends with you. But formally, we are not consultants. We will never work as a consultant. I think G3, you should rely on G3 if you want a more formal way of consulting advice. You want to review your plans, you want to change your plans, you want to strategically think that how this plans fits my requirement. I think G3 team would be happy to kind of consult you and make some programs around that. Anything else? We're good?
Good.
All right. I think next we are going to invite my colleague Prateek, who is going to probably take you through very quick glimpses of the software, how it looks like so that you can get a feel about the software as well.
Thank you, Sachin. Hi, everybody. I'm Prateek. I am an Indian boy now based out in San Francisco, and I have been given a very tough job to show you guys Compport in like 5 minutes. So I've picked up on 3 key areas that I wanted to cover with you guys today. This is the landing page. All the magic happens from here. But if we can switch to the next tab, that's where the manager's view comes to the picture. What we have seen is globally, more and more organizations are decentralizing compensation decisions. That means managers, leaders minus ones are all getting involved with comp decision makings for their people. So can we, in a single view, show leaders who are the people reporting to them, what is their compensation, potentially what is their compa ratio before and after increments, what is the increment range that is allocated to each person based on performance, based on their market positioning, etc., in a single view like this. If we scroll on the right-hand side, managers can also give in inputs based on what they feel is the right increment percentages. And if inputs are within guidelines, you accept them. If they're outside guidelines, you ask them to tell why they're doing so. So a comment box asking them for a reason for exception is also something that can be brought in over here. The budgets as well are part of the screen on top. What's very interesting is that managers are very, very interested in knowing what is the history of compensation of a person. And for that, if we can switch to the next tab, if I click on a person's name, yeah, that one. Yeah, if I click on a person's name, I see more details about that person. So something like how have they grown in the role over the last 2, 3, 4, 5 years? That's something that's being captured on the top graph on the left-hand side. But then below, you can also see the person's comparison of compensation against market, against internal peers, or against team members. So depending upon the level of transparency that organizations want to give their managers, they can let their managers see where does the person lie against internal and external benchmarks. Can we move forward? So that's on the manager side of things. Let's now switch the view and talk about you guys, the compensation admin or the compensation team's view. Over here, in my example, I'm talking about merit, but a similar process for bonus, LTI, sales incentive can also work. The idea is, if you have different population groups, like in my example, US, UK, and Brazil, I have people in 3 different countries, I can have different rules for them. And these rules could be driven by departments, functions, businesses, depends on your philosophy, but the idea is you can have different bifurcations for different population groups. Can we move forward, please? If I enter any of these rules, you would see, all things that compensation professionals are used to seeing. So a merit market matrix like this, which lets you define performance and merit through a table. And you can also bring in positioning if you want to. If I scroll above, you would see that questionnaire that Sachin was talking about, where by choosing certain options, scroll above first, please. The other way, yeah. Yeah. Keep going the other way, please. Yeah. So yeah, you have a bunch of questions that let you define your logic. So something like prorations, something like whether your managers will have the option of doing promotions, all of them can be selected from this view over here. And once you kind of answer these questions, and now you can go in the other side, you have the option of also looking at budget across different cuts. So if I want to look at budgets by functions, by departments, all of that is something I can also do through the bottom of the page. Can you just go on the last part of this page, please? A lot of scrolling going on. Yeah, keep going down, please. Yeah, so you have the option of looking at how budget spends happen across different cuts if you need to. Can you please move forward? The next tab. Perfect. The next big part about Compport is the detailed analytics that is part of the platform. So we have these 5 different kinds of reports, mostly around compensation, diversity, cost and productivity, etc. Each of these reports would give you detailed analytics about what's happening for compensation in your teams. And while it will take us a lot of time to go into these reports individually, what I've done is I've created a dashboard, which is my next tab, where you can see a pay equity analytics dashboard. Yeah, you can go on to the next one, please. Yeah, so something like this. You can have different reports, different dashboards customized to your needs. In this one, I'm showing what's my headcount split, my compensation split for males and females employee in my organization. So such dashboards come out of the box, but then organizations always get very innovative in deciding how they really want to show these graphs in a single page. Lastly, and we can move on to the last tab over here, is the communication of rewards. Globally, while letters are a great way of showing rewards to your employees, more and more organizations are thinking about a total reward view. So my compensation, my benefits, my growth put together in a single page is something that's gaining traction throughout the globe. Almost all of our 250 plus clients are using this view to show their employees what is the actual reward that they're getting. So on the left-hand side is the pie chart that shows me my bonus, LTI, base salary, etc. But down below is the list of all my benefits along with the dollar value of that benefit, which the platform then sums up and shows as a total reward value on top. Did I finish in 5 minutes? I think I did. So thank you so much. That's what I wanted to cover today. If you have any questions, please feel free. I'll be walking around and would be happy to answer any questions that you have. Thank you so much. Carlos, back to you.
I think next session is interesting. I think you must have got bored of listening to Compport and maybe G3, but we brought a very interesting personality on the platform. I'm not sure how many of you know John Radford. John is almost known as the father of the job evaluation methodology. There were two brothers, John and Steve Radford. Both actually founded this whole concept of how you equate the jobs within the organization and across the markets, and brought a fantastic model which was launched in late 70s and early 80s. Since last 30, 40 years, John has been leading that motion. It has grown so much that, right now Radford surveys run across 7,000 plus organizations, close to about 40 million data points, which are gets consolidated into one single place, one single platform. John, I hope you can hear me.
Yes, I can.
Perfect. I probably leave the floor to you for a quick introduction of yourself. I have spoken on your behalf for a couple of minutes, but I'll leave it to you to introduce for some people who may not know you, and then we'll start with quick questions.
Well, first, Sachin, I can't tell you how much I'm impressed, and as a business advisor, feel so strongly about Compport. The demo just shows you the capabilities of your system, and I'm very pleased to be part of your team. We founded Radford way back in 1975, and we have grown to the point where, as an organization, actually now with the combined Radford and McLaughlin database, we have over 9,000 companies and over 32 million incumbents. I asked our people what we do in Brazil. We actually have over 600 companies inputting data in Brazil for almost 250,000 incumbents. So there's a lot of activity going on there. I think what I see going forward, and we're going to talk about this more, everyone is trying to increase their productivity around managing compensation, and tools like Compport and others are really key to doing that. So a great start to today. I'm more than willing to answer any questions you'd like me to cover.
Sounds good. Thank you, John. Yes, we have got some key questions for you, and we'll leave the floor for then to the audience as well to ask some more questions. But these questions are also asked in advance. I think the first question goes about you as an individual. You have transformed the compensation area for the last 3-4 decades now. And what do you think, John, has been the key milestone that has led you to build this transformation over a period of 4 decades?
Thanks. I think when I think about it, there are really 3 key milestones. There are probably many more, but starting way back in the mid-70s to late 70s, companies started to recognize that giving out salary increases should include measuring performance. And so a new tool that we introduced in the 70s that took off like wildfire was developing salary merit increases based on not only the individual's performance, but their position in the range. So a top performer lower in the range would be eligible for a much larger increase than a top performer at the top of the range. Now, this seems like a very easy concept, but it relies on a number of things. One, do you have a good performance management system? And a lot of companies did not have that at the time. 2, do you have market data to establish what competitive ranges are, so you can be very clear when someone's below a midpoint, they're below the market and need to be brought up. When someone's over a midpoint, even if they're a top performer, their increases are slowed. So first major type of transition was that whole idea of how do you administer the salary budget, giving out merit increases. The second one happened when I was with Cisco for 8 years in the late 90s. Up to that point in time, if stock options equity was given out, it was really only given out to the most senior executives and maybe some new hires. Well, at that point in time, we looked at retaining employees, and we felt very strongly that we should create, some people call it a refresh program, some people call it an ongoing program, where employees would be eligible on an ongoing basis annually to get additional shares of stock. And then by 2000, it was more restricted stock. But what that called the attention to was the fact that your total compensation package was more than just base and bonus. It also included equity. Now there, the challenge was, how do you establish what values you should give by grade? And for a while, companies gave out just targeted number of shares. But that now has transitioned more to establishing value. What type of value do you want to give out? And once you've established the value, you then take the share price divided into the value, and that gives you the number of shares you give out. Now, some 20 years later, in technology, life sciences, and across many different industries, everyone is now giving out refresh or ongoing shares. So that was another major shift or milestone change in the way they viewed comp. The third and last one is where we are right now, Sachin. It's around pay equity and pay transparency. I know Brazil is just getting into that. They call it pay equity and transparency. I don't think that you're even close to being there yet. Right now, you're just measuring, giving government data on your jobs, your pay. You don't necessarily have architectures to where you can define equivalent levels of jobs between functions. And in pay transparency, at minimum, it requires you to post ranges for the jobs that you're hiring for, and even in some states in the United States, give employees those ranges in their own range. And so it's a big challenge going forward, starting with measuring pay equity consistently based on equivalent jobs, to providing employees ranges on their job. And of course, in the United States, for example, when companies get it wrong, employees look at the range that they've been given for themselves and the range that they posted in a job outside the market and say, wait a minute, why I can do that job? Why is my range much lower than the range you're publicizing for? So those three transitional areas have made huge changes in the compensation function.
Thank you, John. Great insights on your journey and those milestones. I think my next question is actually about the pay transparency itself. I think US, Europe, I have already spoken about those things, but Brazil itself is having some laws which are around pay transparency, which are coming up soon, and there's some deadlines to meet. What recommendation you would like to give to the comp and ben professionals, to the companies, to handle this situation in such a short time? What challenges do you see they will face, and any quick recommendation you would like to share with them how to handle them?
Well, we've in the United States, for example, have had this now for a few years. So we've seen all the problems and the challenges it creates. And I applaud Brazil for going forward, but they're just in the beginning phases. The first point is that when you talk about pay transparency, the concept is, are people working in equivalent jobs getting paid similar amounts of compensation? And so the first challenge, and one where I think you all need to look at, do you have some type of job architecture or job leveling system where you're capable of identifying equivalent jobs across all functions in the company? Because if you don't have that, no matter what you do, it's almost impossible to present a valid picture on what are pay equity issues that you have in your company or that you don't have based upon the summary of what you provide. I know right now the government may just be asking you to provide data. They have no way to measure what is equivalent. They probably put it in some type of structure they have. But once again, the first step is you've got to really clearly outline equivalent levels within your own company. So when you're doing your own analysis, you can look at equivalent jobs across your whole organization and measure what the real equity is between male and female. You know, we talk a lot about in the US, the absolute pay gap is almost 20% between male and female, but that doesn't even slightly take into account really measuring equivalent jobs. We do a ton of pay equity studies, and when you really get down to measuring equivalent jobs by job levels, you'll find the difference is less than 5%. So that's point one. Point two, and you're not there yet, in pay transparency, what they really are talking about is one, when you post jobs in the marketplace, do you have a range for that job? And two, do you then give your employees access to their own ranges? And there, it really requires you to be on top of the market in terms of what the competitive data is and how you set your own ranges. Because once you start posting jobs with ranges in the market and you give employees access to those ranges, you're going to really call into question is how reliable and sturdy is your job market pricing mechanisms that you have. Now, I think I understand Brazil's not there yet, but everyone else is going there. The EU is going there. US is going there. So I would imagine those are going to be the next steps going forward. Good job architecture and very solid market data to price your ranges. Those are your two key steps going forward.
John, my next question is going to be probably outside the list of questions which I've already shared with you, but I'm sure you will be able to answer that. And I think all of you will connect with that. John, there's a lot of burden on comp-and-ben professionals. You know, we always, these laws come in picture and we are told to create a pay equitable, program in the company. But the problem is that comp-and-ben professionals are the least one who engage. There are actually impact of the performance management system. There are impact of talent programs. There are impact of talent acquisition programs, which also create a huge amount of pay equity because you have not given similar opportunities to, let's say, female employees vis-a-vis male employees in various of those programs. That's actually lead to the pay inequity as well. What do you suggest that, comp-and-ben professionals should do about it when the burden is given to us, but the things are not in our control?
Well, that's a very, very difficult question, Sachin.
Sorry to put you on spot.
No, I understand. The first and foremost is that to your best of your ability, you have to get together with your senior leadership and create an understanding about where they are at and what they're willing to do to deal with those issues. For example, if senior leadership says we want pay equity, but we're not interested in establishing any level of job, family data, levels and whatever, the pushback is if we don't know what the value of jobs are, we have no idea what jobs are equitable and what pay is equitable within those jobs. So the very first step, and I see it over and over again, is you've got to find out if your senior leadership is serious about pay equity. That is one major thing. Another major thing is working with your talent acquisition organization. The most cutting edge talent organizations now have software that will tell you when you make a job offer to a new hire, how does that compare to the individuals in those jobs in your company, and are you creating more inequities or are you more equity by what you're doing? And we've seen over and over again companies claiming to be focused on pay equity, but bringing people in at much higher levels than people on board. Now, in hot job markets, that's very difficult not to do. And so what companies have done is they created equity budgets to offset the people coming in versus the people on board and making adjustments to those people on board going forward. One last thing is that you have to have very sophisticated software so you can dive into any area, pull comparisons between different groups, do whatever you need to do to not just once a year measure how you're doing, but measuring it on an ongoing basis and present it to senior management. Now, the reality of this is, Sachin, there's probably going to be significant inequities right now, and your job is to start moving towards eliminating those, not trying to solve them overnight. But I can tell you, in total rewards leaders over and over again, if they don't have senior management buy-in to really address these problems and putting systems in place to help them address those problems, it's just going to be a very difficult task.
Thank you so much, John. I think it's a great insight you
Sachin,
got.
did I answer the question for you?
Yes,
You
very,
agree?
very well. I think this is what we were looking forward to. And John, I think probably I'd like to add something to this. Comp professionals, you know, I myself have been in your shoes for many, many years. I think not only about this event which is happening around the world about pay equity, but in many situations, comp people have been seen that they are the bearer of something to be rectified in comp. But I believe comp is only the outcome of many things which happen around the organization. How the leadership and the managers behave. Are they creating any biases or not creating any biases? What are the promotion policies? What are the acquisition policies of talent which you have? Everything revolves around this pay inequity which happens in the organization. It happens over a period of many, many, many years. And then all of a sudden, if comp people are asked to do this, that's not fair. And I think we should have the right to raise our hand and tell the leadership and every single person who's involved in these programs to say that this is not my job only and alone. I need a collaboration of all of you people in the organization, in the HR specifically, to raise these particular points to the right people and get it done, right? And then only it will happen. Because no matter what kind of analysis you have, no matter what kind of compensation tools you have, no matter what kind of strategies you build, you alone cannot handle this. It's much more bigger than what it seems like. And it will take years to handle that as well with those collaborations.
Agreed. Well, and let me add one more thing, though, Sachin. The thing that we find is the biggest handicap, other than the things that we've talked about, is that managers simply are not trained on compensation-related practices. And anytime an employee comes to a manager complaining or asking for an adjustment or a promotion or whatever, they always just blame it on HR, right? I can't do anything about it. It's HR's problem. Well, they do that because they're not educated in the era of pay transparency. The managers are going to have to be much more updated and trained in the areas of answering questions around pay transparency. Because I know certain companies, just to give you a feel for it, employees come to HR and HR says, well, look, you have to go to your manager first. And then the manager calls back to HR and says, I'm complaining about this. Why can't you answer it? And HR tells the manager, that's your job.
Absolutely.
Anyway.
Absolutely. Thank you, John. My last question to you is about the technology. Brazil has recently published a report, which is by IDC. I don't know the full form of IDC, but IDC Brazil actually says that by next 2 years, which is 2026, there'll be almost about 1.3 billion investment in the technology enhancement, which will bring a lot of AI, ML features, and so on. Of course, the part of it will be trickle down to the HR technology and some finance technology and so on. But that's the agenda which probably the whole market and the government has taken. What do you think? This is going to have an impact on the rewards. Sometimes I feel that the change management can actually go either ways. it can, this technological change can bring some positive results, but it can also linger on for many, many years where people will struggle to learn about it, struggle to utilize it appropriately. What's your view? And what is the experience which, you know, companies have gained in US? Because US is like a beginner, you know, they always begin these things and then everything gets spread across the world. And you have, the country has got more experience than anybody else in this area. What do you suggest Brazil as a market should do about it, and any challenges they might end up facing probably?
Well, this is a huge, huge issue in the US. And let me start at the very front of the issue. Companies everywhere are competing for AI machine learning talent. And we have seen over and over again where companies are willing to do almost anything to bring in that talent. It's slowed just a bit, but new hire equity awards that are just outrageous, guaranteed bonuses. And so the first big thing companies need to determine is, are we going to create a separate job family, job structure for AI talent? Or are we going to bring them into the standard software development category? And it's going both ways. So everyone's trying to figure out, how do we classify AI talent separately or in other job families? And so as each company in Brazil starts to hire AI talent, you need to look at your philosophy around, do we build a separate job family, or do we consider it just part of the software development job family? And real quick, you know, 10 years ago, everyone was talking about cloud engineering and we need separate software categories for cloud. Now every software engineer is just assumed to have cloud, and maybe 3, 4, 5 years from now, every software engineer will be assumed to just have AI. The second thing it brings to bear, though, is because you're bringing people in at such high levels, do you start looking at how you manage equity and making adjustments for these people coming in? And that's another whole issue. Broad-based, I've seen a number of studies, and you're absolutely right. HR is probably at the tail end of being able to gain benefit from AI. Compport and I were at a Global World at Work conference where they did a number of surveys on this, and only somewhere in the neighborhood of only 3% of organizations are currently using AI in HR, and that typically was in their talent acquisition function, not in their compensation function. And so in terms of embracing AI in the HR organization, we are just at the very beginning of that transition. And a lot of companies are relying on their vendors like Compport to deliver AI solutions to them rather than building HR AI solutions themselves. Overall, though, a much bigger issue is, how is AI going to transform the organization? And, you know, there's been a lot of talk about it replacing tons of jobs, a number of different things. And what I've seen companies do is they've done full-scale studies of where AI can have the most benefit and start focusing on their workforce transitions in each of those areas. So it's a broad initiative across all the companies, but at the same time, HR really has two major roles. One, making sure they manage the compensation of AI engineers coming into the organization, and increasingly what happens once they get into the organization. And two, trying to have a strategy around, how can we use AI to improve our productivity, to improve our collaboration, to improve a variety of different functions that we perform. I'll give you one example of one tech company. They're using AI to help train managers on a variety of HR functions. So for example, if a manager is about ready to have to exit an employee, they can go to their AI co-pilot and ask, what do I need to do in terms of a severance agreement? And so there's an area where HR policies and responses to HR questions can clearly be a target area for AI to drive tremendous value in the HR organization. But bottom line, everybody's embracing AI. If your company does not have an agreed upon overview of how they're going to address it themselves, where it can help them the most, and how HR should handle it, you're going to be falling behind the times.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, John. Thank you very much. I wanted to call John physically here in this event as well, but unfortunately, due to personal commitment, he couldn't drive. John, you have to come here very soon. The kind of energy, kind of passion I've seen in people and market, and the food, don't forget, there's a great food. So that's an attraction for you at least, you know. And look forward to probably having you here next time.
Yeah, and let me finish by saying I'm once again so impressed with what Compport is doing, how they're approaching the market, the kind of the strategic thinking around where you need to go with productivity and with HR in the future. So I congratulate you and your whole team. You've got quite a product. It's very impressive.
Thank you, John. Thank you very much. Pleasure to have you on this session. And as I said, next time you should physically be here. You will feel it, and you would love to visit again then.
Take care, everybody.
Thank you very much. All right. As I said, I think he's our board advisor, so we have reached to him. Anything which you want to ask about the job methodology, about some other innovations which are happening in Compport, please feel free to post those messages and questions onto the WhatsApp. We'll be happy to answer each one of them in detail. He's also kind of a good promoter of the compensation strategy for various organizations. And maybe next time, whenever we are doing similar event, we'll try to bring him, and you'll be happy to meet him. He's a gem of a person, very down to earth, even being such a stalwart in this area. He's very, very, very down to earth person. We would love to catch up with all of you. Thank you.
Bom dia a todos. Prazer enorme estar com vocês aqui. Agora vou começar iniciando aqui, me apresentando para quem não conhece, né? Eu sou o Rogério Pedace, sócio aqui da G3. Para mim é uma alegria imensa estar aqui falando de vocês sobre software, né? Para quem me conhece há mais tempo, sabe que a minha origem é de TI, né? Eu comecei sem querer na área de remuneração, devido à minha veia de inovação, de trazer soluções de integração de tecnologia para a RH, e isso acabou me levando em vários momentos aí em empresas, e a Rei Group foi a primeira aí que a gente acabou abraçando essa experiência, né? Desde então, eu venho trabalhando em RH, são 27 anos, né? Eu trabalho com remuneração, org design, enfim. Hoje dou aula para World at Work, aí muitos aqui já tiveram aula comigo aqui de remuneração variável. Sabem que eu sou apaixonado pelo tema, né? Os mais antigos colegas de Rei provavelmente vão dizer que mas acho que ele não aprendeu muito remuneração ainda, né? Mas eu sei que a piada é para não perder perde a piada, mas não perde o amigo. Então a gente tem uma alegria enorme de estar falando sobre tecnologia. Vou convidar aqui colegas de profissão, né? Muitos foram clientes aqui para falar sobre o tema, né? Vamos pegar minha colinha aqui para não perder nada. Então, queria começar a formar aqui a mesa, né, com a Priscila Mendes, diretora de Total Rewards Latam da Bayer. Nossa querida Pri. Segundo, para formar aqui também a mesa, o Antônio Linhares, né, diretor de gente do Grupo Energisa. Já foi nosso cliente, já foi, né, tivemos várias interações ao longo dos anos, né? E aí? Bem-vindo. Para continuar, o Francisco Neto, ex-colega nosso também, Head of Total Rewards International Benefits of Dell Technologies para a América Latina e Canadá. E para a gente completar aqui a nossa... Como tudo muda, né? A gente acabou improvisando, mudando um pouco as coisas. Vou pedir também que Sachin Bajaj. Por favor, convidar também a Beatriz Brito, nossa sócia, para fazer parte aqui da nossa mesa de perguntas. Ok? Muito bem, acho que está sobrando um microfone. Nós trocamos aqui, mas tudo bem, né? Tudo certo. Muito bem, gente. Bom, acho que para começar, nós tivemos aqui uma boa introdução sobre o nosso momento atual. A gente vive aí um momento na área de gestão de gente, gestão de remuneração, onde, de um lado, a gente tem muita demanda por entregar as questões todas de gestão de remuneração, né, como a gente abordou aqui, ciclo de méritos, a parte de incentivos, e, ao mesmo tempo, a gente tem o desafio de sistemas, de informações, de integração, de plataformas, né, como a gente está vendo aqui, num mundo cada vez mais ágil, né, mais rápido, onde a tecnologia no nosso dia a dia hoje praticamente está tudo no celular, né? E as pessoas gostariam também de ter esses sistemas cada vez mais prontos e na mão, né? Então a gente queria começar a ouvir um pouquinho de vocês, né, que trazem a experiência do dia a dia das empresas e como é que vocês estão vivendo isso, né? Queria começar aqui, talvez, começando aqui pela Pri, falando um pouquinho da experiência sua aí. São 15 anos já de Bayer?
Quase 15.
Tudo bem, parabéns.
Obrigada. Bom, primeiro, muito obrigada pelo convite. É uma honra estar aqui. Aliás, muito feliz com colegas já de longa data. É muito gostoso a gente participar desses eventos e ter essas oportunidades de reencontrar o pessoal, né? E é isso, quase 15 anos na Bayer já, desde que eu saí da Rei, inclusive, né, onde a gente trabalhou juntos, então, desde 2010 na Bayer. E é impressionante, assim, como nos últimos 15 anos, né, a gente teve mudanças, acho que de uma forma geral no mercado, enfim, mas na área de remuneração, muito também. Então, o que a gente vê quando eu entrei, basicamente era Excel, né, como a gente falou, tudo que a gente fazia era em Excel, a gente praticamente não tinha quase nada automatizado. E aí essas coisas foram evoluindo ao longo dos anos e realmente a diferença é brutal. Né, quando a gente começa a ver que a gente está realmente agregando valor para o negócio, a gente começa a perceber o quanto que é mais gostoso. Né? Eu brinco que a gente deixou de fazer a parte chata, né, que era aquela parte puramente automática, né, que você está lá simplesmente fazendo as coisas e muitas vezes sem pensar muito naquilo que você está fazendo, porque é tão automático, para fazer a parte que é legal mesmo, né, que é quando a gente vê quanto que a gente está evoluindo, inclusive.
Muito bem, obrigado, Priscila, pelo comentário inicial, né? A gente queria ouvir um pouquinho do Antônio Linhares. Como é que está lá no Grupo Energisa?
Primeiramente, obrigado pelo convite, né? Depois de, sim, a gente já se conhece. É bom nem falar quanto tempo, né? Deixa quieto, deixa quieto. A voz está ruim porque só o Carlos para me fazer vir a São Paulo. Saí do Rio às 7 da manhã, depois da festa da empresa de ontem, até 1 e tal da manhã. Mas está tudo sob controle. Realmente, o mundo hoje, né, ele te permite também trabalhar com N ferramentas que antigamente a gente não trabalhava. A gente até pode falar o antigo Excel. O antigo Excel ele acaba sendo um parceiro de todas as horas ainda hoje, é inegável. Mas tem muita gente já programando em Python, tem muita gente já conseguindo trabalhar com algo que antigamente a gente dependia meio que da área de TI, e hoje muitos profissionais de remuneração conseguem sair do outro lado com algumas soluções customizadas bem interessantes. Lá na Energisa a gente tem alguns algoritmos que a gente elaborou pelo próprio time de remuneração, nem foi o time de analytics necessariamente, e que nos ajuda bastante. A gente acaba customizando tanto, né, que dificulta até a gente migrar para uma outra plataforma. A gente sempre fala, cara, Será que a plataforma vai conseguir chegar no que a gente chegou aqui e tal? Mas eu acho legal a gente ter muito mais opções, né, no mercado para a gente poder avaliar, e opções que tenham uma velocidade, que não sejam opções de plataformas completamente fechadas, né, que têm dificuldade de customização, porque aí isso provoca não só provoca o mercado, como provoca a gente também, né, da área de remuneração, a se desafiar cada vez mais. Mas eu acho que o futuro do trabalho é dos humanos, não é das máquinas, porque as máquinas estão fazendo o trabalho que sempre foi delas, elas só não existiam, agora elas existem. Então vamos fazer aquilo que agrega valor real e largar tudo que é transacional e tal. Isso aí.
Não, fantástico, Antônio. E exatamente, acho que esse é um bom ponto que você traz. Quanto tempo a gente perde, né, fazendo exatamente a parte operacional e deixando de fazer o trabalho intelectual, né? Que é o que eu acho que é o mais nobre para nós humanos, né? E quando você falou que você estava com plano de voz, eu achei que era porque você ia falar que tinha contado ontem na banda.
Quem
né?
disse que eu não cantei ontem na noite?
Tá bom.
Rolou até um karaokê lá, foi um negócio de doido.
Então tá bom. Bom, vamos passar agora a palavra um pouquinho para o Neto. Neto, conta um pouquinho para a gente, já que você está aí na companhia, numa companhia de tecnologia, que é a Dell, né? Como é que é o mundo aí de vocês?
Bom, obrigado também, né, pelo convite aqui. É muito bacana não só estar aqui, mas rever tanta gente, né, de tanto tempo, assim. Também não vou entregar aqui muito, mas esse ano completando 26 anos de remuneração e benefícios, né? É uma jornada grande, longa, né? E claro, assim como a Pri comentou, né? Com muitas diferenças, com muitos momentos diferentes de evolução, principalmente, mais recentemente, a tecnológica, né? Digamos que antes de eu trabalhar na Dell, eu estou na Dell há 7 anos agora. Antes de eu trabalhar na Dell, e eu trabalhei em diversos tipos de indústrias diferentes, eu sempre me provocava e pensava, né, como deve ser trabalhar numa empresa de tecnologia, do ponto de vista de tecnologia, né? E, obviamente, que trabalhando na Dell, eu tenho os melhores recursos tecnológicos, os hardwares são realmente os melhores do mundo, vocês podem comprovar. Porém, os softwares, assim como qualquer outra organização, né, a gente trabalha com softwares globais, que, por muitas vezes, a gente tem muita dificuldade de tropicalizá-los, né? E aí vem os famosos puxadinhos. Para o tradutor, talvez o processo paralelo não homologado, vamos chamar assim, né? E não é diferente, né, em todas as organizações que estão aqui. Nós temos aqui 50 pessoas, mais ou menos, seguramente 50 organizações que têm os seus puxadinhos, né? E é nesse ponto que eu vejo que precisamos de uma evolução. A Pri talvez seja a mais sortuda de todos nós 50, porque ela falou que já deixou de fazer o trabalho chato. E eu ainda não, eu ainda tenho o trabalho chato ali do dia a dia, né? Mas que a grande preocupação é justamente quando você tira o foco, né, da estratégia, você tira o foco de estar atuando como um parceiro do negócio da sua organização, para você ficar lá nos bastidores fazendo alguma atuação mais operacional, né? E eu acho que eu pegar um gancho para a gente seguir depois na nossa conversa, que eu acho que é um ponto importante também, as empresas multinacionais, em seus ciclos de evolução e revolução, elas voltaram com uma tendência de se especializar cada vez mais nos chamados COEs, né, os Centers of Expertise. E remuneração também está entrando nessa tendência, né? E com isso, a gente começa a ficar cada vez mais, ou tende a ficar cada vez mais longe do negócio e mais focado na sua operação, né? Então, você junta a questão dos sistemas, dos softwares, das soluções, com o fato de você estar cada vez mais dentro da sua própria área, olhando a sua realidade, não a realidade do seu negócio e do mundo em que o seu negócio está inserido, pode gerar problemas para nós nos próximos, talvez, anos aí pela frente.
Não, perfeito, ótimo. Muito bem. Queria ouvir um pouquinho da nossa sócia, a Beatriz, né, nossa Bia, que tem uma perspectiva talvez um pouco diferente, né? A gente falou aqui de uma empresa, um grupo nacional gigante, uma multinacional farmacêutica, química, que é a Bayer, né? Que está representada no mundo inteiro, a Dell, uma empresa de tecnologia. Agora eu vi um pouquinho do mundo das empresas familiares, médias e grandes aí, que a Bia tem mais experiência, né? Como é que é esse ambiente aí de remuneração e de gestão de RH, né?
Fiquei tão feliz de saber que vocês também têm um monte de puxadinhos. Eu acho que a realidade das médias, talvez alguns de vocês já tenham trabalhado em empresas médias nacionais, de controle familiar, de capital fechado. Eu tive o privilégio de trabalhar em grandes empresas multinacionais e ter a realidade de ser sócia também de uma empresa familiar brasileira, como também sócia da G3, e de trabalhar para empresas nacionais brasileiras, em que gestão de pessoas, de um modo geral, eu acho que eles vão fazendo, sabe? Do jeito que dá. Como a gente também, às vezes, nas grandes empresas, também vai fazendo do jeito que dá e faz caber. Adorei. Já, segunda coisa, puxadinho faz caber. Então, a gente vê algumas decisões sendo tomadas que é o que temos para hoje, né? Em que o conceito de gestão de pessoas de remuneração ainda está muito longe, né, do entendimento dos donos ou do entendimento da liderança que está nessas empresas. Então, não tem aí um repertório, né? Vai levando. A outra coisa que eu acho importante, em especial em empresas familiares, é olhar para a remuneração dos sócios familiares que trabalham nessas empresas. Então, eu ouvi o John falar sobre equidade, sobre a compreensão do que é uma posição dentro da estrutura, o quanto você faz esse balanço. E quando a gente fala de sócios familiares, o tamanho da dificuldade de endereçar essa questão, porque existe aí uma complexidade por si só, né? Eu vou ganhar mais que meu irmão, eu vou ganhar menos que meu primo, quem é que está sentado em qual cadeira, como é que eu mensuro performance dentro de uma empresa familiar, né? Eu vou ter que avaliar alguém que eu vou no aniversário do filho dela na semana seguinte. Então, a relação contratual na empresa familiar, ela é diferente, né? Ela é perene, ela não é temporária. Então, eu acho que isso é um pouco da minha visão sobre os desafios, né, da remuneração nesse segmento, nesse nicho.
Joia, obrigado. Sachin, any comment regarding this first part of the conversation?
Translation is still happening, so I'm trying to hear. No, I think I believe the heart of compensation starts from the thing that I have a pool of money and I want to distribute this money amongst the people who are working for me, right? And that principle is so core to the comp and ben that whether it's a family-owned business or whether it's a global company like Unilever or Sumitomo or it's a Brazilian company which is like Energisa and so on. This particular principle runs across any organization in any mind of the owners or the founders or the management and so on. And if you look at that particular principle, rest of it, whether it's a comp and ben professional team which is doing this analysis and then trying to run some programs around this and trying to manage this, or whether you are engaging those leaders to give their thoughts that how do we utilize this money which is available in our hand to distribute appropriately. These principles and the channels like technology, solutions and all, they are only probably secondary to the first core problem. If you have not actually addressed appropriately that first core problem and told your stakeholders that that is what we are looking forward to do, and now you tell us that what channel we should use, what program we should use, I think things should work in the same way, whether it's a family-owned business or a global organization in my view. So I don't see anything. I personally, in the very, very beginning of my life, I also worked with family-owned businesses. And it's just a matter of influence. And I believe Comp and Ben team is in the center and heart of this particular whole concept. It's just a matter of courage that we have to reflect to the leadership, to the owners of a family-owned business, to tell them the right thing to do. And I believe if you tell them the right thing to do, they will at least make an attempt. In most of the scenarios, what I have felt is that encouragement actually remains and buried under the hierarchy levels. You know, I don't have approach to my founder and the CEO of the company, and that's why I can't share my ideas. I have personally elevated myself when I was a very young professional in Compport. I have elevated myself to have that courage right up front. And I spoke to the topmost senior person and told me what I feel, what should be do in Compport. And the moment I did that, I got a path, I got a way through. And I break through those ceilings of hierarchy and did a lot of programs actually in my corporate life as well. I believe I encourage all of you to not have any constraint. Think yourself as really the, what you call a bearer, torch bearer of this particular concept, and articulate right principles, right messages across the organizations all the time. You may not be succeeded in this maybe first time, maybe fifth time, maybe 10th time, but don't give up. You will go through this particular journey, and you will learn and you will do something good.
Ok, thank you. Obrigado, Sachin. A gente pode abrir também, né, para perguntas aqui sobre essa primeira parte. Não sei se já tem alguma aqui do público, dos participantes. Tem? Obrigado. Vamos lá. Primeira pergunta sobre o tema 1. Como a transformação digital e o uso de dados analíticos tem moldado estratégias de remuneração na sua companhia? Aí a pergunta aberta aqui para os participantes, quem quiser responder.
Posso começar por aqui? Eu acho que tem transformado totalmente, né? A área de dados hoje é fundamental para a gente. A gente começou essa transformação, eu acho que mais ou menos em 2020, e aí a gente começou a contratar analistas de dados, e a gente formou uma área específica de dados dentro de RH, e aí a gente começou a construir essa jornada, né? Quer dizer, não foi, eu acho que foi 2020 ou 2019 por aí. Mas aí a gente começou a construir essa jornada que passa primeiro por você estruturar a casa, né? Não adianta a gente querer usar dados se a gente realmente não tem os dados estruturados. A partir do momento em que a gente começou a fazer isso, eu acho que há uns 2 anos, mais ou menos, a gente começou a colher os resultados, né? De realmente começar a cruzar informações e entender o valor dessas informações para o negócio. Então, eu acho que aí vai muito além de remuneração, da parte de remuneração total, vamos dizer assim, né, da nossa caixinha. A gente consegue e começa a cruzar dados de todas as áreas de RH. Então, eu digo que acho que a gente cada vez mais vai evoluir para um papel de especialista em pessoas, né? Acho que falando um pouquinho do que o Neto trouxe, da questão de cada vez mais sermos COEs, eu vejo que a gente, principalmente para lidar com essas demandas que a gente vai ter cada vez mais no futuro, a gente ampliar cada vez mais esse leque, né? Então, como é que a gente cruza esses dados com outras informações referentes a pessoas e como esses dados são, muitas vezes, muito ricos para a gente identificar padrões, identificar coisas que a gente não era capaz de identificar porque a gente não via simplesmente essas coisas ali. Então, e aí, dando um exemplo, talvez para deixar a coisa mais tangível, né? Hoje a gente tem uma ferramenta que a gente chama de Retention Tool, que é uma ferramenta que é disponibilizada para os líderes, todos os líderes da organização, e aí eles têm vários dados que eles conseguem identificar qual que é o risco de perda que a gente tem dos nossos profissionais, e quais são os principais pontos que ele deveria atuar para evitar que essas pessoas saiam. E aí, quando a gente começa a avaliar os dados desse Retention Tool internamente, né, acho que a primeira coisa que todo mundo sabe, e isso também acontece para a gente, o principal motivo de saída nunca é remuneração, né? Por mais que a gente tenha lá várias coisas que ele precisa saber, no nosso caso, é muito fortemente qualidade de vida. 37% dos nossos colaboradores hoje dizem que qualidade de vida é o principal fator que faz eles ficarem. Em segundo, 24% oportunidades de crescimento e desenvolvimento, né? Então, quer dizer, a gente tem que fazer a nossa parte bem feita e a gente tem que cada vez mais cruzar esses dados para ver como que a gente agrega valor para a organização.
Quer falar?
Neto, vai lá. Sim, eu concordo perfeitamente, Pri, e eu diria o seguinte: há algum tempo a gente não tinha visibilidade sobre algumas informações, então a gente não conseguia tomar decisões, tomar ações sobre elas, né? Então acho que esse é o principal ponto, que sem sombra de dúvidas a gente hoje em dia está muito mais avançado, a gente tem muito mais acesso, os BIs, os sistemas e tudo mais. né? Muita inteligência artificial ajudando ainda mais agora já para uma segunda fase, né, desse processo. Mas eu diria que eu tenho uma visão talvez separada de duas formas, né? Uma em nossa área geradora, né, como uma fornecedora de dados e de ações, e uma de consumidora de dados, informações e ações, né? Então, eu poderia dividir aqui como eu hoje consumo esses dados dentro da minha organização para poder gerar esses outputs, para poder gerar essas ações todas. E a outra é como que, ao momento em que eu gero essas ações, como que eu impacto os meus clientes internos, a minha comunidade, através dessas ações. O que a gente chama na Dell de Team Member Experience. Então, assim, da onde vem, eu consumo, trato e eu levo até o meu funcionário, que é o meu cliente interno, que é uma cadeia totalmente linkada aí, né?
Ótimo. Linhares?
Legal. Na Energisa, a gente também tem uma área de analytics específica, e como a gente tem vários business dentro de energia, um desses business, por exemplo, a distribuição de energia elétrica é eficiência operacional pura. Então, a nossa participação nessa análise dos dados é extremamente relevante para que a gente consiga garantir a melhor eficiência no que se refere a pessoas dentro de cada distribuidora. A gente não tem um nome retention tool, mas a gente tem algumas análises de turnover muito profundas, que também nos levam a algumas deduções que anteriormente era muito difícil de fazer e hoje realmente é bem mais fácil de produzir. Eu acredito muito assim, da gente usar ao máximo essas ferramentas e a gente provocar e não ficar só refém da ferramenta, mas colocar cavaleiro dela, né? Porque muitas vezes a gente, a ferramenta eventualmente não vai puxar isso ou aquilo, e a gente tem tantas possibilidades hoje de fazer conexões, e agora com a inteligência artificial até de fazer análises preditivas, que a gente não pode perder essa oportunidade. Hoje, a gente está fazendo agora um estudo, a gente formou um time para estudar o custo de saúde, e a gente está tentando usar a inteligência artificial de maneira preditiva para evitar determinados casos de alto custo, né? E que inviabilizam principalmente num plano de pós-pagamento como o nosso, e que a gente tem todo o risco da carteira. Então, existe assim, uma gama de oportunidades. Eu acho que as áreas de RH agora estão muito mais conectadas entre si, se elas sabem utilizar essas ferramentas, porque você não pode realmente pensar de forma estanque, você tem que pensar no todo, nas interligações, né? De uma forma muito mais robusta de avaliação de desempenho, com performance indicators, e, além disso, todo o processo de seleção, que eventualmente pode estar saindo do turnover, que conversa com o onboarding e conversa com determinados produtos que a gente pode não estar desenvolvendo tão bem. Então, acho que a gente tem que ter esse olhar do todo e aproveitar essas ferramentas para isso.
Excelente. Eu acho que, ouvindo vocês, a gente passa por uma reflexão do quanto que o profissional realmente, né, que está sentado aqui do lado da remuneração, passa a não ser mais o cara do bit byte, né, porque ele tem que olhar o processo cross, né, dentro da empresa, integrar informações, né, e num momento de um requerimento de negócio, né, um questionamento sobre questões do custo de saúde, quer seja no custo, né, da reposição de talentos, enfim, a gente saber as causas, né? Porque hoje é difícil, né? Se você não tiver uma plataforma, um sistema integrado para achar a informação, né? Fala, Bia.
Não, bem rapidinho. As empresas familiares, né, as de controle familiar, representam a grande maioria das empresas do mundo, né? E aí eu fiquei pensando aqui, claro, que tem aí um range enorme entre grandes empresas familiares, com milhares de funcionários, e as empresas médias, mas as que eu tenho passeado um pouco, quão distante a gente está dessa realidade que vocês estão trazendo aqui, né? Eu acho que a gente precisa reconhecer isso e observar que tem uma oportunidade enorme de ajudar essas empresas a subirem um pouquinho de patamar. Não precisa chegar no benchmarking de empresas internacionais, porque eu acho que o sapato tem que ser meio ajustado ao tamanho do pé. mas que a gente tem que evoluir, a gente tem que evoluir.
Eu acho que a gente tem que sonhar grande mesmo. Por exemplo, a Energisa é uma empresa de 120 anos, mas ela começou como uma empresa estritamente familiar. No interior de Cataguases, um barão do café mandou o filho para estudar na Inglaterra, engenharia, e aí tinha um tal de Edison que estava bolando uns negócios por lá, ele resolveu estudar eletricidade. Foi para Cataguases, no interior de Minas, aí o café estava embaixo, ele falou, pai, futuro é eletricidade, pô. Aí chamou um banqueiro da região, entrou com a prefeitura, falou, vamos fazer uma parceria público-privada, isso em 1900. E aí lançou uma geradora e uma distribuidora de energia e começou 6 meses antes da Light, no Rio, que era a capital, etc. Eu acho que o lance, aí para subir nesse segundo degrau, é governança, né? Trabalhar forte o processo de governança, porque senão fica muito na cabeça só do dono. E a gente ainda tem desafios, é óbvio, né? Porque a família tem 60%, então é uma presença forte, mas a governança ajuda a crescer o business, virar uma empresa de 18 mil funcionários no Brasil inteiro. Mas a governança é importante. E para dados, o modelo de gestão também é importante, né? Porque isso permite você chegar na ponta, né? Com um trabalho bem estruturado, etc. Então, por aí.
Muito legal. Bom, estou recebendo aqui várias perguntas. Algumas estão mais relacionadas à parte do tema 2. Eu vou segurar um pouquinho e depois a gente entra, tá? Mas uma delas aqui acho que vale a pena, até porque eu acho que o Sachin pode nos ajudar bastante, além de ouvir vocês todos, né, colegas aqui, com relação à remuneração executiva. A pergunta é que acho que é Kátia Alonso, é isso? Oi, Kátia. Obrigado. Que ela sente dificuldade ainda em relação aos dados disponíveis de mercado. Isso atrelado à transparência gera um cenário ainda mais complexo em termos de desenho e manutenção dos planos. Como a plataforma pode ajudar nos desenhos dos planos de longo prazo e como os profissionais veem esse tema nas empresas, que é a segunda parte da pergunta, mas passo para o Sachin. Como que a plataforma pode ajudar no gerenciamento dos planos de longo termo, de incentivo de longo prazo e na gestão da remuneração executiva?
I'm still hearing. No, I think I got the question right. Let me just repeat that question itself first. So I believe you are saying for the executive comp, there are some difficulties and challenges in terms of bringing the LTI plan. Is that the question?
I'm talking a lot. Sorry, sorry about that.
I heard it. Not a problem.
I was telling that I feel this is a pain actually, because it's something that we are discussing right now, but in the past we didn't have a lot of data. What I see is that sometimes we see the data, but the data doesn't make a lot of sense. So we need to do a lot of customized solutions to treat exact comp. So my question would be, does the tool offers any kind of solution in terms of management of the executive plans that we have, LTI, analysis, transparency, comparisons between the executives that we would have, and I would extend the question for the professionals that are there, because again, this is a pain, at least for me.
Sure. I think in my introduction, I already mentioned that unfortunately, or you can say it's a right thing to do for us ethically, that we do not provide the data as such for any company to somebody else. That's clear. Now, in general, there are certain markets, actually many markets, that the executive comp, the right match is very difficult. And the reason for that is not that, and first of all, you are not standing alone in this. There are many companies who struggle with that. And the reason for that is that each of the organization structure and the management structure and the role holders are built very differently. If you look at the job description of many companies, there are many companies who merge roles. I have seen companies where the leadership role holder is handling HR and finance together, or a marketing and sales together. In other organization, there is only a sales head and probably a marketing head separately. In other organizations which become very large, You even split the marketing kind of role into two different paths. One would be a brand head, one would be a marketing head alone. So I think the core of this particular problem is not necessarily having the data or not. The core of the problem is that how do you actually justify their compensation for that particular role? I personally, what I did in my past jobs where I worked, actually, I used the methodology internally in terms of doing the evaluation in a different way for each of the job holders, right? And you have methodologies available from Mercer, from Towson, and from other companies as well. But I believe competent professionals are intelligent enough, because they have gone through this journey of job evaluation, to build their own methodology to do a job evaluation as such and give higher points or lower points, whatever is the fitting, but for the job itself. And you don't necessarily find the data externally, but what you can do, for example, if you found a HR job holder at a X point and the marketing holder who is at the same level, however, holding additional responsibility, you can upgrade that particular job, and hence the compensation would be in the same proportion as well. Systems as such, so coming back to the system, whether the system can help you in that, yes, we do. We have a pay equity analyzer. We have a pay equity builder as well, wherein what you can do is you can actually merge certain jobs to actually create a job equivalence for a particular position where you don't find that job match in the market. So let's take example of a node engineer. If you did not find in a specific industry a node engineer job, what you can do is you can find out an AI engineer, and you can find out a PHP engineer, and you can say, I want to use 40% of AI engineer and 60% of a PHP engineer. And hence, system will bring that particular comparison and give you a job match for that. Executive comp, not system, not the thing which I have already explained, but they have lots of other parameters which drives around that. For example, the first thing which you will be asked and first thing you will get a push from is from the CEO as well. Because CEO will have a very clear bias about the job holder themselves. Largely, job evaluation doesn't get driven at that level because of the job. It's get driven by the thoughts of the person and how the person is making contribution to the company. I have seen an HR head of the companies literally driving the organization's top line and the bottom line. On the contrary, I have seen HR heads who are just operational HR heads and they have no say in anything for the company. So that changes the parameter. If you try to compare now either one of them with the market job, which is for the CHR of the company, it will not suit the right fit. Even if you do that comparison and give it to your CEO, CEO will say, no. For the person who is only an operational HR manager, they will say, oh, this is a very heavy salary for this person, I don't want to give. And for the person who is doing more job and driving the organization, they will say, no, this is low salary, I want to give more to them. So your job evaluation may not end up suiting the need of the person who's taking the decision about it as well. Any thoughts?
Querem falar?
Talvez o que eu possa comentar aqui, Kátia, é que assim, para nós, na nossa organização, no modelo de organização que nós temos e na estratégia que nós temos, esse é um tema tratado numa organização de remuneração específica, segregada da área de remuneração da qual eu faço parte, por exemplo. Nós temos um time de remuneração executivo global, né? Obviamente que metodologias, a gente viu o Radford, é uma das que a gente utiliza outras também de mercado, com sistemas e tudo mais que a gente falou, mas talvez o que possa diferir um pouquinho aqui dos colegas é a questão do modelo da organização, em que a gente tem realmente uma célula de remuneração executiva segregada da remuneração field, como a gente chama.
Eu posso falar um pouco da minha experiência anterior também. Eu fui CEO da Vale em remuneração. E uma vantagem que eu tinha naquela situação é que, como os vice-presidentes e o presidente da Vale eles não são comparados no Brasil, eu usava os relatórios que eu pego da BHP, da Anglo, externos, que são extremamente transparentes. É basicamente uma pesquisa de remuneração. E aí eu tinha tudo ali, absolutamente tudo. Eu só usava uma consultoria, porque quando eu ia para o conselho, eu tinha que ter uma isenção, né? Ficava esquisito eu levar o dado. E aí a consultoria fazia os seus double checks, etc., e levava. Agora, é uma experiência singular. Eu acho que no Brasil, e na Vale a gente também, como eu era CEO global, eu tinha uma área específica de remuneração, mas ficava comigo, de remuneração executiva. Mas era uma experiência específica. Agora, eu acho que existe a tendência da transparência ir abrindo cada vez mais. A gente vê ali da igualdade salarial, que já traz algumas reflexões a respeito do tema, né? O próprio relatório da Vale, se você pegar o relatório da Vale, é um relatório bem mais transparente que os demais relatórios que você normalmente vê. Agora, por exemplo, no meu caso, a Energisa, que é uma empresa brasileira, e que a gente acaba também tendo que, né, reportar, porque a gente tem a família com 60% aproximadamente, mas está aberto na Bolsa, a gente fica meio que refém das pesquisas tradicionais. E é óbvio, como ele bem colocou também, existe uma particularidade quando você fala da primeira pessoa e dos vice-presidentes, que, eventualmente, um grade não traduz totalmente, etc. Então, você... não é bem não é o matching, não é por grade, né? O matching ele é position, assim, é o price. Então, isso fica mais complicado quando você está numa realidade com pouca transparência como a nossa, em termos de relatório. Quizá no futuro isso vai melhorar.
Talvez, se eu puder agregar um pouquinho, no nosso caso é bem semelhante do Neto, a gente também tem uma área global de Executive Services, mas a gente contribui justamente com os dados de mercado e é a mesma dificuldade, realmente, porque são poucos os dados que a gente tem. Mas, de qualquer forma, acho que talvez correndo risco aqui, porque eu entendo esse ponto de remuneração, né, que é olhar muito sempre para a cadeira, né, e para a posição, e eu acho que cada vez mais a gente vai migrar para olhar a pessoa, né? Quais são os skills que realmente diferenciam aquela pessoa e que fazem com que ela precise ou faça sentido que a gente pague X para ela. Acho que a gente está um pouco nessa jornada já na Bayer, discutindo muito a questão de skills, e como que a gente vai remunerar por esses skills no futuro. Então, eu vejo que a gente vai, obviamente, ninguém está dizendo que a gente vai abandonar job description, job evaluation, acho que nada disso, a gente vai, na verdade, usar tudo isso junto, mas eu vejo que os skills cada vez mais vão ter um peso na remuneração do profissional. Polêmico, eu sei.
Mas eu acho que esse é um ponto legal, que dá para discutir horas, né? Talvez o peso, né? Então, a gente muda um pouco qual é a referência, né? Não deixa de usá-la, mas o peso da referência muda.
Velo dilema entre job, né, position e a pessoa.
Mas é uma tendência mesmo. E isso, a tendência já vem sendo discutida desde os anos 90 com competências, quando você discute remuneração por competências. O mundo, ele, na verdade, é cíclico, né? As coisas voltam. Ele funciona meio como uma espiral, eu diria. Agora a gente está numa outra espiral que rima com a espiral de baixo, eventualmente espiral de remuneração por competências e tal. Mas a tendência é pessoa.
Com a vantagem da tecnologia muito melhor do que a gente tinha naquela época.
Exatamente.
Né?
Exato. Eu já partindo para a segunda parte aqui, para a gente ir encerrando também, né? Que eu sei que tem um desafio grande aqui. Nós temos aí o almoço aí, tem um sorteio ainda, né? Que vai ser realizado, mas acho que nós estamos trazendo aqui, acho que a provocação da Kátia também foi interessante, porque a gente conecta, a plataforma nos dá informação, a gente tem os nossos desafios, né, de trabalhar a remuneração executiva separada da remuneração do restante dos empregados, estratégias diferentes, né? E hoje em dia, sem perder de vista de que a gente também, como profissional de remuneração, a gente tem que ver a eficácia daquele programa em relação ao business, né? Porque mais do que ser competitivo e às vezes de atrair, né, um executivo ou reter um executivo na minha companhia, esse programa tem que fazer sentido para os acionistas, né? Eu tenho que estar buscando um resultado de valorização, de crescimento adequado em função dele, né? Mas a gente está diante também, acho que só para encerrar aqui, a questão justamente que tem a ver com uma outra pergunta que foi colocada aqui, do equilíbrio entre o que a gente está falando hoje de transparência salarial, equidade também interna, as diferenças que a gente tem hoje que lidar, né, dentro da organização e o quanto que isso tudo é suportado, né, também pela informação, né, quanto que isso nos ajuda a ser mais eficazes num mundo como esse, né, que vocês, nessa última rodada aqui, só para a gente encerrar, né?
A nossa área de analytics está nos ajudando bastante nos relatórios, né, de equidade salarial, porque, assim, o governo tinha que usar um parâmetro. E eles usaram o CBO, né, para deixar mais emocionante o negócio. E aí a gente está usando a área de analytics para poder filtrar aonde que está a real dor, sabe? Porque o CBO não consegue fazer a melhor mensuração. E eu fico torcendo para que aperfeiçoe, de alguma maneira, né, essa comparabilidade por parte do governo, porque em outros países a gente tem essa comparabilidade muito mais robusta, né? Mas eu acho que, mais do que nunca, o Analytics e todas as ferramentas possíveis podem nos ajudar a filtrar melhor, ver onde está a dor, para a gente poder atuar na causa raiz e não ficar, né, perdido nessas questões.
O Antônio, e eu diria o seguinte, para algumas organizações, como a organização que eu trabalho atualmente, a cultura tem um impacto muito grande. Aonde eu quero chegar? Nós operamos em países que já faz mais de 10 anos que nós fazemos estudos e adequações, seja de equity por gênero, seja por nível, seja por qualquer outro tipo de questão aí definida. Então, quando a gente chega para uma cultura, falando do nosso caso aqui do Brasil, especificamente, né? E você começa a falar desse assunto, ele não é novidade, ele não é um tabu, e você já tem a cultura e o caminho das pedras, porque você já tem essa experiência em outros países, né, que já é realidade há mais tempo. Né?
Eu acho que tem um ponto interessante que eu gosto de comentar, que assim, a gente tem o comparation, né, a posição na faixa aberta para os colaboradores desde 2017. E nós, quando a gente foi implementar isso, a gente já vinha há alguns anos, na verdade, tentando conscientizar o líder, né, para falar, você tem que abrir, você tem que ter essa conversa, né, que eu acho que é o que a maioria das pessoas fazem, né, tipo, esse é seu papel, né, é um pouco do que o John comentou aqui, que eu achei ótimo também. E a gente já vinha fazendo esse trabalho. E aí um dia a gente falou assim, cara, vamos abrir logo esse negócio, né, para todo mundo ver, porque senão o que a gente fica sempre é naquela coisa de tentar educar, de tentar mostrar a importância, mas sempre vai ser mais cômodo para eles deixar na nossa mão. E aí, o dia que a gente falou, nós vamos abrir, agora a gente vai abrir, então agora você vai ser obrigado a ter essa conversa. Você não tem mais para onde fugir, porque ele vai ver, então você vai ter que ter essa conversa. Então, no final, a gente foi meio que assim, achando que ia gerar um problemão, gente, e não gerou. Foi um negócio assim, tão assim, tranquilo quando a gente implementou. A gente estava esperando que a gente ia receber um monte de contato de colaborador, brigando, não sei o quê. Nada, e nem dos próprios líderes. Então, eu acho que tem coisas que a gente tem que ir lá e fazer mesmo, porque se a gente não faz, a gente só fica nessa, um dia, quando eles estiverem, né, mais educados a respeito do tema, eles nunca vão se sentir totalmente capazes de fazer isso, mas quando eles começam a fazer, eles percebem que sim, que dá para fazer. Óbvio que nunca é 100%, você sempre vai ter aqueles que são muito menos hábeis para fazer isso, mas eu acho que esse é meu ponto, assim, a gente tem que ir lá e fazer, porque senão a gente vai ficar a vida inteira só tentando fazer com que eles façam.
Eu acho que o próximo patamar agora é o salário digno, né? A gente fala da igualdade salarial. Aí é o salário digno, que é um outro patamar de discussão, e com toda o ISD, etc., né, clamando por algo do gênero, pode andar, né? Vamos ver.
Com certeza.
Muito bem. Sachin?
I think if the world was run by women, world would have been a better place, for sure. And here's the example. I was actually hearing the translation. With all due respect to the gentleman who is translating for the last 10 minutes, I hardly understood actually what has been said. but the earlier woman who was actually translating that was very clear to me, and it was coming very nicely to me in terms of translation. But I think whatever I understood, there are a couple of points I want to add. And I want to add an analogy. I hope you understand what analogy means, but yeah, analogy is normal word. Okay, analogy is basically that if you have to eat nice food in this restaurant, in this hotel, on the rooftop, right? You have to do a couple of things. You have to have a wish, first of all, that I want to eat a great food, right? You have to have money to actually eat that food as well. You need to dress up nicely. You can't come in your slippers and pajamas in this restaurant as well. So with all these peripherals which you need to do just to eat food, I think it gives a message that to achieve something great, you have to do a lot of pre-work. And I think digitization analytics is also similar to that, in my view. And for that matter, any work for our scope as well. But digitization and analytics people feel that if I have a solution, everything will be sorted like this. It just doesn't happen. We are actually into sale of compensation software. And I'm telling you that just buying Compport would not help you at all. You will have to do a lot of other things around it as well. It is about creating your right strategies. It is about involving your stakeholders. It is about cleaning your data to run the analytics as well. I think one of the client who we asked them, why are you going for a solution like Compport in your company? They already bought it, they signed the contract, so we do like a feedback meeting. And I asked, why do you buy this software? And he said, initially somebody told me that I need to do analytics because I have a pain. And then when I started doing analytics itself became pain to me as well. And hence, I think the software can actually handle it. But we gave them a very clear answer to that solutions like Compport or any software for that matter is not what you will get and it will work like a magic wand in your hand. It is not going to work. You will have to do some work around it. What it will do for sure, it will facilitate and reduce the painful process of doing it manually in future once you have established the link very well. So that will definitely do. Efficiency for using the system for analytics and doing anything around the processes will come over a period of time. So you have to be ready with that before you think about adoption of any technology for that matter in the company. And that's my sincere advice to all of you as well.
Exato, perfeito. Obrigado, Sachin. A gente ainda vai precisar existir ainda no processo, né? O humano ainda vai ser necessário, graças a Deus, né? Gente, então, a gente poderia ficar aqui horas aqui, né? Se deixarem, eu com o microfone aqui, vou ficar a noite inteira falando desse tema, né? Mas a gente vai ter que encerrar, sei que a agenda está super apertada, gostaria agora de convidar vocês, porque a gente vai ter o Carlos fazendo sorteio e na sequência nós vamos ter o prazer de ter vocês no almoço e um momento ainda de compartilhar, de trocar entre vocês aqui os debatedores e com a gente também. Agradecemos imensamente aqui Antônio, Priscila, Neto, Sachin, Bia, pela presença aqui conosco aqui nesse debate. Muito obrigado.
Bom, chegamos aqui então. Acho que uma palavra final nossa para agradecer todo mundo. Acho que a gente ainda vai ter o almoço aqui, né? Mas para a gente finalizar aqui o nosso evento, agradecer demais, mais uma vez, né? Todo mundo aqui. De novo, a gente sabe a correria da agenda e vocês dedicaram esse tempo para estar aqui com a gente. É realmente um prazer e a gente espera encontrá-los em outras oportunidades também. A gente vai fazer o sorteio agora, né? Antes do almoço. Então, do ingresso para o Congresso da World at Work, que vai acontecer em maio, que a Compport vai estar lá também fazendo lá a sua exposição também, tem um pavilhão de exposições lá também. É um ingresso bem legal, não inclui a passagem aérea e o hotel. Mas
nem a Disney.
Nem a Disney, né? Porque vai ser em Orlando. Mas nem as pancakes também, né? Não vai estar lá. Mas é um ingresso aí bastante interessante, né? Mas vamos lá. Então, vamos sortear aqui, vamos ver quem que é o sortudo ou a sortuda, enquanto o pessoal aí vai montando aí o almoço para a gente. Vamos ver quem é o sortudo ou a sortuda que vai com a gente aí integrar o grupo da forma, tá bom? Caso saia alguém aqui da G3, a gente não sabe se de repente alguém preencheu aí por acaso, óbvio que não vai estar valendo, né? Mas é para todos os demais. Vamos lá, Bia.
Vamos lá. And the Oscar goes to Kelly Cunha, da IRCO. Aê! Vem cá, por favor. Vem cá.
Tá com o visto em dia?
Pronto. Parabéns pelo que ganhou.
Deixa eu... Quer deixar aqui?
Não. A gente fecha aqui?
Fecha aqui.
Pessoal, então, vamos tirar uma foto.
Fotinho?
Pessoal, obrigada mais uma vez pela participação. A gente está muito feliz de ter vocês aqui hoje. Agora vamos desfrutar do almoço. Yes? You want to say something?
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much. Thank you to the organizing team, first of all. I think we have been working with them for the last, 2 months to organize this event. This was completely new place for us. So that team has actually helped us very well. Juliana and Fernanda and some other staff, which is from the hotel. Thank you to all the participants who came here. In their busy day, busy week, I'm sure you have a lot of things to do. It's the end of the year, and plan your holiday as well around the Christmas. So thanks for that. I hope you found your time to be well utilized in the last 2-3 hours. We are here to support you, to help you in your journey, and anything which you want to ask and discuss with us, would love to come again. GTR's 3S team, GTR3S. It almost sounds like a Formula One team, So G3 actually is here. They'll be representing us, but we'll love to come and visit. Especially, I would definitely come again and again for the food, if nothing else. So look forward to meeting you all. Thank you to GTR's 3 team as well. Pleasure meeting you and be with you for the last 1 week, and looking forward to meeting you all again.
Thank you. Obrigado, Sachin. Obrigado também, em nosso nome da G3. Obrigado a todos os nossos colegas também, nossos consultores que estiveram aqui presentes. E Sachin, Patrick, thank you so much. Obrigado, gente.